Evening, ladies and gentlemen. What's happening? I've just finished watching the NCAA men's selection show for this year's 2023 March of Madness. This is TFG Sports Media. I am your host, the sports guy Kendrick. I hope everyone is having a great day. I know everybody's probably trying to recuperate over that spring forward, trying to figure it out. You still got a little bit more daylight now in the evening time. If you forgot to set your spring your clocks forward, you were late to church or you was late to whatever other activity you had. But again, I'm your sports guy Kendrick, this is TFG Sports Media. I wanted to jump on here and go live. We're talking about the NCAA March Madness men's tournament. They just finished up pretty much with the seedings, with the selection show. There's going to be some people that's going to be unhappy with their seedings, and there's going to be some people unhappy with that team didn't make it. But as a Tar Heel guy, I'm a North Carolina Tar Heel guy. I was not surprised. I didn't think the Tar Heels did enough to make this tournament. I thought they did not play well. They was up and down. Considering last year they went on a run and made it to the national title game where they did lose to Kansas, and Kansas will be trying to defend. Will try to repeat as a national champion. But again, the men's tournament selection show it may be still going on, but I believe it just ended. Just to give you a recap on where some of the seeds are. I was watching the Houston and the Memphis championship game out of the AAC, and I kind of knew Houston was going to be behind the eight ball a little bit because they lost one of their leading scorers, the nephew of Gerald Sasser out of Texas Tech. I believe his name is Marcus Sasser. He did not play. But they fought valiantly, but Memphis just had a little bit too much in that second half. Houston made a couple of runs, and they weren't able to get it done. But that did not the selection committee did not hold that against them when it came down to selecting number one seeds. The number one seeds in this year's men's tournament is the Houston Cougars, the Kansas Jayhawks, the Purdue Boilermakers, who won the Big Ten today, as well as the Alabama Crimson Tide out of the SEC. Happy Sunday to you as well, Demi J. Thanks for dropping in. And Alabama is the overall number one seed. So again, those are your number one seeds coming out of the men's selection show that just happened not too long ago. The tournament will start on Tuesday with play-in games, but officially the first round will start on Thursday. Your number one seeds again is the Houston Cougars, the Kansas Jayhawks, Purdue Boilermakers, and the Alabama Crimson Tide, and they're the overall number one seed. And Bama will be in the South region, which will give them a little bit of a heads up. Now, your number two seeds are the Arizona Wildcats, who won the Pac-12 championship. They defeated UCLA. They are number two seed. The Texas Longhorns coming out of Austin. They are the number two seed, considering what they dealt with. They head coach Chris Beard was fired back in December. The assistant coach, they rallied the troops and they were able to really get on a good run. That Texas Longhorn team is a really good team. They won a Big 12 championship over Kansas. They are a number two seed. UCLA is a number two seed, and the Marquette who is led by former Texas Longhorn coach Shaka Smart. They are a number two seed as well. Now, your number three seeds is going to be the Baylor Bears coming out of the Big 12. You got the Xavier Musketeers, Gonzaga, and Kansas State, another team coming out of the Big 12. Those are your number three seeds. Your number four seeds, you got Virginia out of the ACC, Indiana out of the Big 10, UConn out of the Big East, and Tennessee out of the SEC as your number four seeds. Number five seeds, you got Duke Blue Devils, who won the ACC championship. They went on a run as well. They are a number five seed, and your number six seed, TCU out of the Big 12, and Kentucky out of the SEC, and A&M is in there as well. So, I think the selection committee, they did what they got it right. Again, there's some notable absences. Again, North Carolina Tar Heels, who actually made it to the championship game last year after that remarkable run they went on. They sent head coach Mike Krzyzewski into retirement, but they will not be in the NCAA tournament. And I'm not shocked because North Carolina didn't play well. So we do have the brackets in the first round. We will run through those real quick. Maryland is an 8 seed. They will face West Virginia out of the South in the first seed in the first round. Who is a 9th seed? We have number 5 seed San Diego State will face the number 12 seed Charleston as well. This is in the South region. We have the number 4 seeded Virginia, number 13 seeded Furman. And that's in all this is the South region. You got number 6 Creighton and number 11 North Carolina State. Then again, number 3 Baylor out of the Big 12. They will face number 14 seed University of California, Santa Barbara, and number 7 Missouri will face number 10 seeded Utah State, and number 2 Arizona. Again, they did beat UCLA in that Pac-12 championship. They will face number 15 Princeton, and I watched that Ivy League championship game, Princeton and Yale. So that is your South region first round games right there. Let's move to the East. Number 1 Purdue. They're the number 1 seed in the East. They got a bye, so they won't have to worry about that first round. We got the number 8 seed Memphis against the number 9 seed Florida Atlantic University. Again, Memphis defeated Houston today in the AAC championship game, and they got the number 8 seed. Then we got the number 5 Duke Blue Devils. They will face the number 12 Oral Roberts. Again, this is the East region. We got the number 4 seeded Tennessee Volunteers out of the SEC against number 13 seeded Louisiana. Then number 6 seeded Kentucky against the number 11 seeded Providence. Number 3 seeded Kansas State will face number 14 seeded Montana State. And the number 7 seeded Michigan State Spartans will face the number 10 seeded USC. That's going to be a really interesting matchup, in my opinion. And the number 2 Marquette, out of my hometown, my birth city. I was born in Milwaukee. Marquette, led by former Texas Longhorn coach Shaka Smart. They will face the number 15 seeded Vermont. And this is, again, the East region. That's the East region matchups right there. Let's move to the Midwest. Number 1 seeded Houston. They in the Midwest. I was kind of surprised they put Houston in the Midwest. I thought that I thought Houston would either be in the West or the South, but they put Houston in the Midwest. They will face number 16 seeded North Kentucky. Number 8 seeded Iowa will face the number 9 seeded Auburn. Number 5 seeded Miami will take on the number 12 seeded Drake. Number 4 seeded Indiana will face Kent State, number 13 seeded. And again, number 6 Iowa State is still to be determined on who they will face. Number 3 seeded Xavier would face number 14 seeded Kennesaw State. And number 7 seeded Texas A&M out of the SEC will face the number 10 seeded Penn State. That's going to be a good one. That 7-10 seeds, I always say those are always going to be very close, in my opinion. It's not too much. It's not too much between those two. And the number 2 seeded Texas Longhorns out of the Big 12 will face the number 15 seeded Colgate. Again, that now is our East region. Those teams that I just said are coming out of the East region. Out of the Midwest region. So again, that is going to be a region to watch. Now let's move to the West region. Kansas, they moved Kansas out to the West, number 1 seed. They would face the number 16 seeded Howard. The number 8 seed Arkansas will face the number 9 seed Illinois. That's going to be a game to keep your eye on as well. Number 5 seed St. Mary's will take on number 12 seeded VCU. Virginia Commonwealth. The number 4 seed UConn will take on the number 13 seeded Iona. Iona has been in the news because their head coach is Rick Pitino, who's coached at Louisville and Kentucky. His name has been mentioned to be the guy to head to St. John's. St. John's actually fired Mike Anderson, and Rick Pitino's name has been linked to be the new head coach at St. John's, but he will be coaching number 13 Iona versus UConn. And again, that is in the West region. Number 6, TCU is in the West region as well. Who they're going to face is still to be determined. Number 3 seed Gonzaga will take on the number 14 seed Grand Canyon. Number 7 seed Northwestern will take on number 10 seeded Boise State. And the number 2 seed UCLA, coming off their loss in the Pac-12 championship to Arizona, will take on the number 15 seed UNC Asheville. So those are all the regions. Again, that's first round. Again, your number 1 seed is Alabama, is your number 1 seed in the South. Number 1 seed in the East is Purdue. Your number 1 seed in the Midwest is Houston, and your number 1 seed in the West is Kansas. And I say that this whole uh, NCAA tournament is up in the air, and it's about who gets hot and who gets on the road. And I think there's going to be some surprises in the Final Four. I said this, and I think there's going to be a double seed to make the Final Four this year, in my opinion. I think there's because of the parity in the league. So I'm not those teams that you normally see there. Don't be surprised when you see a Final Four that's going to kind of look a little bit different than years past. IA because of the NIL, name, image, likeness. That has really, I think, has had an impact, and I'm all for it. And also the transfer portal. A lot of the upperclassmen, those with experience, has transferred to different universities that's given them an advantage. And you're going to see a lot more experienced teams. You're going to probably see a lot more teams with juniors and seniors that you're going to see that's going to make a run in this tournament. So again, the men's NCAA tournament is in the mix. The selection show has made their decisions. Some of the teams that you won't see, I said it, North Carolina, they're out. They just didn't do enough. They might be in NIT, but they just didn't do enough. They had a up and down season, and they just was not consistent, and they didn't get enough quality wins, and it happens because of the parity in men's college basketball. The one and done has definitely changed how we look at that. Also, I would say this: uh, the interest. I think the interest is always going to be a little bit higher, but I think in the last 2 years, the interest in the NCAA men's tournament has definitely stepped up to a different level because of the one and done. I think now you have more parity. You see more mid majors keep their players there a little longer, so you see a little bit more experience now in the men's college tournament. So again, the NCAA men's tournament has been set. Tuesday, you got your play-in games. Thursday, you're going to have your first round games kick off. Again, I just want to say to your number 1 seeds, you got the Houston Cougars, Kansas Jayhawks, Purdue Boilermakers, and Alabama is the number 1 overall seed. And the Final Four for the men is happening in Houston, Texas. So it would be kind of cool to see the Cougars be able to play for a national championship in their hometown. So the NCAA men's Final Four will end in Houston, Texas. Now I'm gonna switch gears a little bit. There was some news that came out a little earlier, and we're talking about Ja Morant, Memphis Grizzlies All-Star guard. If you've been under the rock, you know he's been dealing with a lot of unnecessary press, in my opinion. But he's a young cat that's trying to figure it out. Well, the New York Post posted a story today. They got some still pictures and some video from the strip club that Mr. Morant patronized after a win over the Houston Rockets, and he had dropped like 50 G's on the floor. He was in the VIP. You see a still of a dancer on his lap straddling him. And this was the day before. This was 2 days before the Denver Nuggets game. So this was prior to. They had actually played in Houston. They flew to Denver. They went to the strip club. He went in, he booked a room from what according to reports for like $900, whatever, and he got it in that night. And then 2 days later, he would come back to that same strip club. And that's when you will see the video that he did on his Instagram live, where he shows himself with a gun. Powerade has decided to pull all their ads with him in them at this moment. So it's a crazy, crazy time for the Memphis Grizzlies. Um, Ja Morant, but I think this is a teachable moment. I think that particular strip club in Denver, I think that was foul what they did to release and sell those photos and that video to the New York Post, because I think that most of those guys in that income bracket, that's what they do. James Harden, that's we all know it's not a secret that James Harden like going to the strip clubs after games, and that's what he do. He get it in. Okay, he ain't hurt nobody. I ain't tripping on that either. Uh, so I think that this strip club was chasing clout. I'm sure the New York Post paid them for that. But looking at the quotes from someone affiliated with that strip club, they said Ja Morant was the perfect patron. He was really nice. He ordered up a bunch of food and he got a VIP room. That should be that you should leave it at that. That should be his own private moment. Did you decide you want to sell the pictures in the video or whatever to a media outlet? I think it's foul for that that company to do that to him. Again, I- from what I know is patronizing a strip joint is not against the law. It's not against the law for him to decide to buy up and get a lap dance or whatever, to each his own. That's not against the law. So why would you sell that to a media outlet? Uh, and now you have kind of put your business in a light where those that may have some sort of that may be in a entertainer or whatever, they may be reluctant to come to your business because they don't know if you're going to sell their time in there to a media outlet. So I think that was kind of foul on that particular establishment to do that to the New York Post. But now it's not definitely not a good look for Ja. Again, you got to understand when too much is given, a whole lot is required. Um, but that was a private moment that I thought that should have stayed private, and this establishment decided to sell that to the New York Post. So I really want to know what you all think about this whole Ja Morant situation. Um, I really didn't want to do a whole lot and speak on it because it's been beaten to death by the social media, by sports opinionists. If you go on YouTube, everybody has beaten this subject to death. It is what it is. My thing is, Ja is looking to get. He stepped away from the team. The Grizzlies actually suspended him, but he said he's need to get some help and this and that. But this new thing now, he could be putting his livelihood, putting his future earnings in jeopardy because Powerade again they decided to pull any ad with him in it because of this new thing that happened with the New York Post. So I'm kind of caught in the middle again. I'm not feeling this strip club releasing that just to get some clout, probably get a little bit of money. Uh, but and then too, I'm like, that's as an individual, he had the right to go to that, regardless if I agree with it or not. He had the right to go do that in his own private moment, and it shouldn't be broadcast to media outlets, in my opinion. Uh, so that's where we at. I really want to know where you guys think about this whole situation. It's just keep like snowballing and snowballing. I'd like to know your thoughts on it. Make sure you leave a comment in the comments section. I definitely going to read it. I want to know what your thoughts on this. Should Powerade have pulled should they pull their ads with him in it? Should they? Like to know what you think about that. I also like to know what you think about the NCAA men's tournament about to jump off. March Madness is wide open. Who you got? You got your brackets ready. Who you think is an underdog? Who do you think is a sleeper in this upcoming men's tournament? Put that in the comments as well. I'd like to know your thoughts on that as well. So again, this has been a TFG Sports Media Sports Report. I just want to jump in real quick, go live, get your thoughts on that. Get your thoughts on John Morant as well. This new thing again. It's probably going to be some more information coming out. I do know that John Morant is scheduled to get back and be back with the team. I believe it's Wednesday. I think he should be available to play, but the NBA is also still holding their investigation. They're still doing their investigation on this his Instagram live thing where he brandished the gun. I will say, I have to say this: the Glendale, Colorado Police Department, they said there was not enough evidence for them to investigate or press any charges against Ja Morant with that particular incident in that strip club with the gun. So again, that's dead right now. Now the whole thing is, how did he get the gun in there? Did he fly with the gun on his person, or did he buy the gun while he was in Colorado? That's a whole nother thing that the NBA is investigating, because players aren't allowed to have a gun on a person on any NBA facility or whatever, in a gun, this and that. If how was he able to get it through TSA? If he did fly with it, so it's a whole lot of stuff still, unanswered questions that need to be answered with Ja Morant and this gun situation. But now Powerade may be looking to pull out with making him their brand ambassador. So now he's looking at losing some money. And I said this, man, image is everything. And when you're dealing with corporations, you got to you got to be on your P's and Q's. So I like to know your thoughts on that. Make sure you drop a comment, like, subscribe to the channel. Make sure you share all this and all that. And if any other developments happen, I will be going live just to get it in and let you know what's happening. So I'm your sports guy, Kendrick. This has been a TFG Sports Media Sports Report. You guys have a great Sunday. We will see you on the other side. I'm out. Peace.